Alright, here we are, May 24th, 2018 at Buckhorn Creek Ranch. I'm going to try to give you a quick little tutorial on how to prepare your broccoli for the freezer. Alright, what we're going to need is a pot of water about that big right there. Get the water boiling. Ziploc bag. And put on there what it is, BROC. And it's 524.18. Okay, and I do this pint freezer bag, but it depends on how many people you feed at one time. If you got 4 or 5 people, you're going to need not a gallon, but a quart bag. And Debbie and I are the only ones eating here right now, so we'll do a small bags. And it depends on how much broccoli you have. Now about the broccoli, here's what we picked this morning. All right, we're down in South Georgia, and broccoli is actually overwinters better down here than it does as a spring crop. However, this is a spring crop. We planted this from plants that we grew on the plant stand and in the greenhouse about in February we started them. Okay, the problem is that with the spring crop of broccoli down here is that it gets hot real soon before the stuff heads up, and it tends not to head up as well in the spring as it does as a winter crop. However, it does head up. These are little guys, and they're not going to get any bigger. And what happens is that they open up to seed. All right, now let me show you the difference. This one here has started to open up and become yellow. The little yellow there, this here is not going to get a bigger head. It's trying to make seed. So you got to get it when it gets like that, or it's going to go to seed and you're not going to not have anything. Okay? Now, don't forget the stem. It's actually very sweet and tasty. The stem, so I cut down on when I harvest it, cut down far enough to get some of the leaves and some of the stem. But this here makes up for not having a very big head in the spring broccoli. So you want to use that. So this is the deal here. How you do it. My water over there. This is just my way of cutting things up. I split it. I want to get these leaves. And then basically you're going to chop it up into bite-sized pieces like this. Make sure you get those leaves. That's very good. Broccoli leaves are very good. Broccoli is a very nutritious plant. Okay, why don't we just put this in the freezer just like this? Well, one thing is it takes up more room because when you put it in the water, it concentrates it. But another thing is when you put it in boiling water, they tell me that the microorganisms that exist on the surface of the plant, the yeast, spores, and the different things that cause the plant to break down and become and go back to nature or spoil are on this plant here. So by putting it in the boiling water, you either kill or check the living bacterias and molds and whatever that's on there, and you extend the life, the freezer life. So that's why you do that, okay? So there we go. I'm just going to do a small amount because I'm trying to get this quick where I don't bore you with it. Put it in the boiling water. Of course, that's just 2 heads right there. And I like to put, you're going to want to put salt, which is back here hidden. Just a little bit of salt, and that's to your taste. And that also helps, I think, in the preservation. And you're going to need a spoon that you can dip it with. Okay, now when this gets ready, I'll come back to you. Oh, okay, how long do you do it? Okay, you don't want to overcook it. You know, it'll get kind of mushy. You want it to still have, you want it to have a little bit of bite. You don't want to completely cook it because when you get it out of the freezer, you're probably going to heat it again and cook it just a little bit. So I can't tell you exactly how long to do this, but And it doesn't take long. Of course, the more you have in there, the longer it'll take as you stir it around. But you see, those leaves have gone limp, and so we'll just let that go just a minute more. Now, one way to tell is to take a little bitty piece out of the stem, because the stem takes the longest to cook, and see what it's like. It's hot, but that stem is almost done. So we're going to go ahead and, you need a clean bowl to put it in, because you're defeating your own purpose to put it back in the same bowl, because the spores are in there alive. So you need a clean bowl to put it in. Let's get it in there. I don't know the heat tolerance of these freezer bags, so I don't like to put this broccoli in the freezer bags straight out of the pot before it's cooled off some. One reason is I don't know how much the freezer bags can take of heat. Now, I usually use my same water over 2 or 3 times because it's hot, and then put another batch in there. But I like to let this cool down right here, then put it in the freezer bag, which we will do next. So we're going to probably cut the camera off. Let me see. I'm going to try one more little piece. Okay. You could eat, that's really cooked right there. I like it a little bit crunchy, but it's certainly almost a finished dish. Now, depending on your tolerance for butter, I like to go ahead and season it a little bit with a little bit of butter before I put it in the freezer. And sometimes, okay, so that means this, when I pop this out of the freezer, put it in the microwave, or either put it in a pot to heat it up again, this is going to be a finished, it's going to be a ready meal to eat. Of course, it's good without butter, but I like to keep a little fat in my diet. I think it's actually healthy rather than the opposite, which you'll hear that butter is not good, but I just kind of think it is good. There's a saying, an ancient saying, living off the fat of the land. And, you know, in the modern times, fat has gotten a bad rap. And I think that the medical industry, the Heart Association and all, has invented this idea about fat being bad for you to cover up for the real culprit, which is sugar, refined sugar. Refined carbohydrates, I'm pretty sure from my research, is the real culprit. Back in the 60s, the sugar industry knew that. They knew sugar was killing people. But they had spent all of their money to try to come up with these reasons that it was fat that was causing heart attacks. And they had a famous study in Massachusetts back then called the Framingham study, where they sought to prove that fat was the culprit. Of course, they didn't take into consideration sugar. That's cooled off a little bit now. I think this bag is okay. So, if you touch this broccoli, you're going to contaminate it with live spores and all, but it's not going to make a lot of difference. It's mostly killed. And so I've got this let's try that. That's good. Here's my little bit of water left with a little bit of butter. And of course this is apple. Okay, so you know how to do a zip lock. You zip it until just the corner is open, and you push it down and you let the air out, and then you zip it. And then you see your bag has become a vacuum. But like I said, this is not full. Okay, so what happens is that then you put that in your freezer, and here's a frozen one from the other day. That was done on I didn't put the day, it just says 5/18, but this was like 3 or 4 days ago. And then you pop it in the freezer and freeze it. I think that you will be very happy with doing your broccoli this way. I've done it for years like that. And also, if you're down here in the South Georgia, remember you can grow broccoli in the fall and overwinter it, or you can do it early spring like this, but your heads are not going to be as good. Okay, enjoy your broccoli. This is Steve Coleman at Buckhorn Creek Ranch, signing out.